Right, welcome to round 8 of the NIRA season, and we're going to start off with Jimmy Harrison, and Scott Green, Lindenwood, and Dartmouth. Over to you.
Yeah. So just to set the narrative for you guys, if you weren't in the Midwest this past weekend, pretty big torrential downpours for the weekend. So the game kickoff time was tentative. It was 7 p.m. and then they changed it to 11 a.m. and then it got pushed back to noon. So just dealing with that and staying mentally switched on was a good challenge for myself. But overall, we got the game in. It was a good competitive game. And as you can see with the game flow, there's quite a few scrums, quite a few stoppages. So that was tough to get in a flow. But for the most part, good rugby was played despite the weather. And, it's a good competitive match, a good challenge for myself. Just with the stats up here, obviously the resets are the biggest standout with the 10 resets. So for myself, that's probably the biggest focus is setting the standard in the scrum and making sure I stick to that standard and then escalate when needed.
Good.
Anything to add there, Scott?
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted.
Yeah, I just jumped on there, you guys, so I missed that first part of the conversation. So, I've just talked to Jimmy. I think the learning out of this game really came down to how could we manage the scrums to avoid the 10 resets, maybe the 5 penalties, because it just takes up a lot of time in a game when you're talking about a minute per scrum. So 37 scrums is a whole half of rugby, really. So yeah, that was the main talking point. We also talked around comms. It's one of our work-ons this season is to get his comms up to standard. So there was some good stuff there. There's some good tracking around his positioning, especially the in-goal stuff was really good. So, there was some good refereeing happening, but lots of learning points for us too today.
Yeah, so for the scrum, for the clips, I actually have just 3 scrums. I believe it's that first one, scrum process, the fourth one down. So at this point in the game, I've had 4 resets, and there actually is no escalation from myself here, just another reset. And so at this point in the game, I feel like I should step in and start being more effective with my communication and actually make a difference with the players versus just resetting, because it's becoming ineffective at this point.
Let's go. Seconds in, please. Seconds in. Squeeze, seconds. Squeeze. Sink.
Crouch!
Hey!
Bind!
Hold, Bergmer, hold.
Set! Reset. We're slipping here. Just a bit longer in your bind, okay? You're getting on her.
There was issues with the bind on the far side with the green loose head and the white tight head. And I probably should have addressed it earlier and penalized it versus just keeping the reset and telling them to fix their binds. I was being a bit too, sympathetic for the weather with it being wet, but at the same time, we're 20 minutes into the game and this is the 4th reset, so I probably should have escalated sooner just to set that standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the next scrum, the scrum not needed a penalty. Lindenwood White started showing some dominance. So in this scrum, I thought I should have rewarded them, but I call number 8 for unbound early. But Lindenwood easily gains the advantage, so probably could have avoided a penalty here and actually address the stuff in the front row earlier to avoid this.
Up. Yeah. Seconds in. Stay together.
Crouch!
Squeeze, guys, squeeze.
Bind! Set!
Hold it.
Advantage.
Yeah, so you saw the number 8 unbound earlier there. But Lindenwood takes it all the way into 22. And the back row wasn't the issue through the game, so this penalty is kind of wasted on that. So rather, I should have probably addressed the front row earlier when we had the issues versus trying to fish for a penalty in the back row, and just add to the penalty count when it's not needed.
Yeah. The scrum is pretty high up as well now. That's probably why it didn't go down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've had a few resets, a few went down, a few penalties already called. So, yeah, they started getting higher, and then there started being some angles from the white reset as well that weren't addressed.
Yeah, I see the Jimmy on this one. There's a couple of scrums where, because there was stuff going on at the front row, he got glued to staying at the front row. And I feel like if he had come back, followed the ball back, we could have probably just played through that. You would have realized that there was no effect. So,
yeah. And also always remember to referee scrum to scrum to scrum, right? Just to always know what happened in the last one, take it into the next one.
Correct, yeah. And this one's a bit hard to see because the rain really started coming down second half. But 20 minutes left in the game. This is kind of where I want the scrum to be earlier on, and so I really want to set my standard a bit earlier in the game so I can get a good attacking platform like we see here. So that's a big work on for myself is making sure I set my standard and make sure I communicate it and penalize it or reward it when I do see it.
Let off,
Coach! Bind! Set!
I'm low. I'm low.
Better, right?
Yeah, very different scrum from the first, especially the first one we saw. But yeah, with the 38 scrums, we saw a ton of 37 scrums, we saw a ton of scrums. A lot of resets, and the big takeaway is escalating it and sticking to the standard with this, especially when you get in a game when you have 37 scrums.
Yeah. Did you code the resets as resets, or did you leave them as scrums?
I believe I coded them as resets.
Okay.
Yeah. So I coded them as resets. So the 10 resets. I didn't put them as both. I didn't duplicate it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. So we had 47 scrums.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, I mean it was really stop-start game.
Was it because of the weather that it's just a lot of handling errors?
It was a torrential downpour. If you haven't refereed in a rainy game, it's a really good challenge. So make sure you prepare yourself mentally for that because it's taxing sensory level overload. You can't hear a thing. No one can hear you. Can't see a thing. So it's a good challenge if you haven't done that. Make sure you come in guns blazing.
Also, the natural reaction when you're refereeing games in the rain is to put your head down, right? So now already your vision is a lot more. Your peripheral vision is basically big rain on, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
It's also difficult to move quickly, right? And to move fast and to stop without falling. So
yeah, my boots were full of water 20 minutes in. I could hardly move. So
it
was a good challenge, good game. I wish they had better weather because it was two very skilled teams, but well fought. Yeah, a good battle in the rain for sure.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Scott. Anything else to finish off?
Yeah, like Scott mentioned, just continue to work on my comms and really building that in my toolbox, and then obviously Scrum is always a big part of the game, so making sure I set my standard there in the Scrum.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, I think if you roll up to the field and it's raining cats and dogs, you've got to think there's going to be a lot of scrums. So it even makes it even more important, I think, in terms of your sort of pre-match rev up to be like, right, I've got to get these scrums nailed early on. Otherwise, I'm going to be chasing it all day, which can be quite taxing for you mentally. So, you gotta see what's going on the field, and give it your best swing. And that's what we said in the review with Jimmy, was just about holding yourself accountable to your standard. And, if you're doing that, we're here to support it. So, you know, have a high standard, do your best to hold yourself to it, and then try to problem solve during the game. And there's triggers that should alert you. I'm resetting the scrums, the fourth reset, that should trigger you into phase two, or up your ladder of escalation. So again, great learnings for Jimmy in this one, and I look forward to seeing the next game, mate.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, God.
Thank you.
Liz and Kat, thanks for jumping on. I know it was late notice, but we got rained
Happy
on.
to be here. I hope Liz is here.
Yeah, I'm here. No worries.
Thank goodness.
Over to
Um,
you.
cool. Really fun game. I think the big takeaways for me, I started to narrate and over focus on like what was actually happening on the field. In the first half, I did a really good job at like keeping track of penalties, and then in the second half, kind of got away from me there. That was another thing that I went into the game kind of thinking about, is just penalty count in general, and then when to escalate. With the penalties, we had a couple of scrum penalties as well, which didn't come into my escalation thought process. And that's something that Kat and I kind of talked about. I think looking back at it, we feel like there wasn't really a need to go for a yellow card because of the scrums, just because of how the game was flowing. But it's definitely something that we talked about. And then I did give out 2 yellow cards on the day for foul play for Mount St. Mary's in the second half. But really, our total conversation was really about escalation and communication. Moments that we thought that we could have had better communication, and then again, not narrating the entire thing. And then because when you start narrating, that's kind of when you lose like your kind of get mentally tired, and you can lose you're just doing too much at one time, and it causes you to lose track.
And players ignore you after you talk too much, right?
Yeah, definitely. But we would say that the video quality is not the best, but the audio quality is top notch here. So
Kat?
Yeah, the video quality leaves a lot to be desired. That being said, I thought Liz had a really strong game. I think I was really impressed with her penalty accuracy for the most part. Like I think she nailed that everything she had to call, she had to call. There's obviously a couple that she might have been able to save herself from if she hadn't spoken too soon and kind of talked herself into a corner. But that being said, she had a really great tackle picture. I thought that her scrum picture was really good. It's funny, we'll kind of talk about probably the opposite of Scott and Jimmy's game. There were more penalties at the scrum, but I thought it was a really good decision that she didn't escalate. But as to Liz's point, like something to be aware of. And to what Scott said earlier, like you have to do the groundwork to set yourself up and then be able to escalate in a way that everyone understands if the time comes to it. So like I don't think in this game anyone expected a scrum escalation, but I think in probably the last game it was expected. So it's just kind of interesting where the same theory doesn't apply to all games. It does, but in a different way, if that makes sense. But yeah, the audio was really good, and it was clear Liz's work on was to keep track of penalties, which is something that I've heard a lot of people say, and I think she just tackled probably too big of a mountain and was trying to keep track of everything and trying to be the person that like knows exactly what every penalty was and when it was. So we kind of talked about a few methods and keeping track of the penalties that people really expect you to, and the ones where the escalation story is really easy to follow. So, yeah, we'll kind of get into that.
You
Yeah,
can no,
overall, really good.
you can sometimes feel it in your bones, right? You'll have like a gut feeling for what's happening and where it is. But I just wanted to say, if anybody wants to go and read this, where we talk about penalty count escalation, keeping track, there's a good piece of information here. If anybody wants to go and read it, it's a good philosophy in the report, and it's published, so you can read
Did that right before we came in. Sorry.
it. Clips.
Ba-bum, ba-bum. There, we can start with the first chat, captain's chat, when to communicate. This is it's the top at the top.
Okay.
We're like, again, this is me keeping track of the penalties. What Kat and I kind of talked about is like, yeah, I have like multiple penalties. It's really early in the game. But there's not really like a big trend here. It's just the fact that there's multiple penalties happening in a small in a in a in a short amount of time.
In from the side. In from the side here. There's 3 penalties.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
very early on. Be warning them already, all right?
yeah. And because Kat and I, sorry I cut out a little bit, but Kat and I kind of chatted about it. It's too early. Um, it's it's not that the conversation was bad, but it didn't hold any weight, and they just continued to. I guess for the first half though, Kat, like we only had 6 penalties, and like this is the third penalty in a row, and we're 7 minutes in, so it might have held weight. But then in the second half, it kind of like lose control here. But it's more so the fact that like their trend isn't there. It's just the number of penalties um, that I was really
Right.
focused on. And when it comes to me personally, like escalating, I want to again focus on like kind of what Kat said in the feedback is just like foul play first, and then from there, inside the defensive, 22 as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you go into the game and you listen to the whole clip, like I actually think Liz's message is really good. I think she's very calm when she gives it. She doesn't add in a lot of extra fluff. Um, I was more of just, I think we want to make sure that we're not putting too much emphasis on it's just the penalties. Like, oh, there's 3 penalties now, and it's like, well, one's over there, middle of the field. I think there's a difference between people cheating and disrupting the game and penalties that you're going to have. Because what I don't want is us to be like, you've infringed 3 times. I'm going to send the fourth person to the bin. And it's like, do you expect to have a game with 0 penalties? Like that's never gonna happen. Like, yeah, we want games to have lower, and I know like Richard, we've always talked about that philosophy. Like there is a nice vibe of numbers of penalties, but
Hmm.
you can never have 0. So like that's where the conversation of where you want the conversation, where you want the, sorry, the like warning to come is like dangerous play. Yeah, I want to have zero dangerous play penalties. That you don't get a free pass. You don't get a like, oh, everybody takes someone's head off. It's like, no, you don't do that or
Yeah,
you get off the field. And then as well as like defensive breakdown, like that's what I call the cheating penalties is like, no, you're ruining their ball
yeah,
versus the penalties of like, yeah, you just got that one wrong or like, you're getting dominated in the scrum or whatever. So it was less on a critique of Liz's message and more of just like, where do we think that trend could be, or how could we be more specific, right? That's three penalties now at a breakdown, two inside the 22. Like, that's where I'm starting to draw the line. So that was kind of
yeah.
the message of that clip.
And it comes with game knowledge, as we've talked about for forever, right? It's about watching rugby, and also, when you just watch games, you can feel when the team's under pressure, and you can feel when they're in the 22. So it almost becomes, the more you do it, and the more you learn from it, the more natural it feels that it's at the right time. That when there's going to be. I mean, you could give a yellow card for the first tackle infringement if there was a breakaway and it's a meter from the goal line or something, right? So there are no rules, which is probably why we call them laws. So nothing is black and white. Uh, but that philosophy is good if you want to read that. What's the next clip?
The next clip is the 9 offsides. This basically just shows the 9 going offsides, and then the next clip is me managing the 9. And Kat and I kind of talked about how I could have done this earlier. I think the scrum before this, the 9, the purple 9, jumped off sides, and I kind of played away from it because she didn't have effect on the play. And here she did. So kind of could have managed a little bit differently here.
Crouch! You're okay. It has to be set up way quicker though, okay? Oh, sorry. All right, second.
You can just fast forward through this.
There we go. Second!
As you'll see, we can't see anything anyway at the scrum. So
Stay there. Back. No. Advantage. 14. Offside. Number 14. Offsides. Number 9. Running around. You can't do that. Back. Number 14.
I will say the audio is a little bit off, so it
Hmm.
does seem like she's managing early, but she's
Yeah.
actually managing at the point she becomes very material.
Go the way that you were going, okay? Crouch!
What was the conversation with number 14 and was it offside at a knock? Or?
She was just offside at the scrum, and she was like affecting how the white get out of the scrum. There was no knock.
And then the white 9 ran behind her own players, so Liz didn't keep playing the advantage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like an obstruction for me. And then the next clip, management. I just talk to the 9 and just say that last penalty was on you. If you want to hear the
Agree.
comp.
You can't go past the center. Yeah, I'm watching. Ready, crouch! Five, set! Use it.
I think that's it. I don't know if my one clip made it into the folder or not.
Might be floating around.
I had a not back 10 call.
Yeah, definitely show that clip because I think that like really goes to the point of repeat infringements, and then to Richard's point, like of you can card even without doing the whole song and dance when it's very relevant. But yeah, the thing with the 9, like I just thought that was great. It's great management from Liz. she has something, she tries to manage it because it's material, is unsuccessful, calls it, and then before the next scrum, she's like, hey, that was on you. You can't do this. And then she doesn't have a problem again. So it's like dealing with the
Yeah.
problem and then following up on that. So I thought that was excellent.
Do you know where the next clip is?
I do.
If you go into penalties, it is the, I think, second yellow card. It'll be in the second half
Yeah, at the 80th minute.
or on the clock 80, not 80th minute of the match.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, not 10.
Right off your feet. Number 10. Number 10. Too many. Too many team. Not 10. This is the new mark right here.
I think there's also like one, maybe 30 seconds of that.
Number 10's out for the remainder of the game, okay? I'm at 10 minutes left. On the goal line!
It's really loud. Yeah, but it was like a penalty and then they tapped probably in the middle of the field and then they tap and then it's that off feet and then they're not back 10 and I think this was a really good example where sometimes you don't get the chance to do the warning and sometimes you have a cynical infringement like that where actually you have to just pull the trigger right away and you have to give the card and like even this is late in the second half, Liz had by this time like kind of lost track of penalties, etc. But to her ability as a referee, like she knew gut reaction that like this is a yellow card infringement. There's been too
Right.
many. This is cynical, like so. I think to the point you were making earlier, Richard, like you know, right? Like you get the
Hmm.
vibe, and so even while Liz is working on this ability of like being able to count penalties, like her core knows when it's been too many and knows when somebody's got to go. And I thought that was really good. So,
Yeah. That's great. So any last thoughts besides cutting your talking down to 10%? Liz? I
Um,
was joking, so
no, I think just talking less will definitely is definitely helpful for me.
mm,
Yeah, I think that's like the big thing, just to like clear my mind. And then I think we had talked about when to like reset or to rethink about penalties. And in this game, I chose the set pieces to like reset or like think about penalty counts at set pieces. And I've decided that that is not a place where I want to do that anymore because there's just too much for me to manage. Specifically, or like at those moments, like you have the most people together during set pieces and you have to check a lot of things. That's where my
yeah,
check process is. So that's where I went into this game thinking that I was going to rethink about my penalties when I was like checking the offside lines or something. But then it affects like the flow of the game. So really, I
sure.
think after tries and then not really focusing on like I think focusing like how Kat and I talked about foul play and then inside the defensive 22, I think will be really helpful for me because those are when the teams are most under pressure.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you. Kat, any last thoughts?
and when in doubt, go with vibes.
vibe it out. Thanks, guys.
And a beautiful field. It's such a nice ground. Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
that. Love that
not
field.
no
Better
rain.
field.
No rain. It's a really hard field. The kicks go really, really far. So,
Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Liz. Morgan and Bob, hello.
Hi.
Cheers.
So this was an interesting game based on the season. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick. It looked like Brown might be the stronger team going in, and then I got an email saying that both teams were slightly short on players, so they'd start 20 minutes with 15 on 15, 20 minutes with 14 on 14, and then second half they'd go to 13 on 13, first half uncontested scrums, second half contested scrums. So I kind of had to go into it being like, all right, I need to manage this enough at uncontested scrums so that I don't have a disaster at contested scrums in the second half. And generally, I think it was fine. I had a few moments where I didn't have to, but I ended up overthinking the empathy a little, where maybe I could have just like, this is rugby. It is what it is. But I was mostly happy with it. Bob, do you have anything?
No, I agree. I thought, nobody likes to be going into uncontested scrums. But there was one thing that I wanted to say, the way she approached it is, okay, these may be uncontested, but we're going to do this properly. We're going to have the setup right. We're going to come in straight. We're going to do everything so that in the second half, when the scrums were contested, she didn't have to start from the beginning or start from scratch. And I really liked how she did that approach. So, I mean, overall, I thought it was a nice way to take care of it.
Great.
So, Richard, can you start with running lines one correct? Because I put a mistake clip in. Yeah. So there were two, just for context, there were two instances in this game where I missed things. And if I had just tweaked my running line or put in like 10% extra effort, I wouldn't have missed them, which just speaks to how important running lines are. So this is the first one.
Back up. Keep going. Oh.
Oh, is this the short one? I need it to keep going. I need them to tap the penalty and go out wide. I don't know why it keeps cutting off. I went in and updated it too. So, you have to click the one that says correct. This is the wrong one, Richard. Running lines one correct is the one we want, which is the longer version of, there we go.
The correct.
Same thing.
Okay, here we go again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back up. Keep going. Okay. Thank you.
So if you notice it, we have an intentional knock by Gold. And the problem was there were two options. When the player chose to quick tap, I was right behind her. I was like too close and too anxious to follow the play. And I ended up having players between me and this knock on. It's a little further up. So if you see, I start running immediately. And I'm like, I'm going to be right here for this. And then, of course, with the broadcast. And then if you watch, you can kind of see my feet in the bottom right corner of the screen where I'm trying to get by players right here. I'm way behind all these players. So the options are I either need to just be more patient on this and see what they were even doing with the ball, or if I'm going to be that close, I need to really hustle to get out deeper behind these players. And I would have just penned this because there are other goal defenders out wide, but it's not great for credibility to miss it.
Yeah. And also the other thing is like in these breakaways is to try and give yourself a more width there. Sort of try and get as wide as you can so you can
Yeah.
have an angle view situations. Easier said than done, when a breakaway is like in 1 second.
The second one is running lines 2. So it's kind of self-explanatory, but
Kate. Kate.
So
the ball hasn't traveled.
I think that this has been touched by gold 13. But the problem is I have several or gold players in between me and that. And if I had just hustled to get to the 10, which is what I should be doing on kickoffs, it would have been really clear to me that it hadn't been touched because both sides asked me about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Always sprint to the 10.
Yep. Lesson learned.
Hey,
So
Morgan, I have a question. Sorry. Is there a reason you stood on that side of the kicker?
I don't remember why, but ideally I'm on the opposite so I can see the offsides, right?
Yeah. And sometimes they mix, so you don't clearly know which way they're going. But I didn't know if there had been a number of kickoffs, if they're always going the same way, if that
With
was
this
in your
kicker,
head.
it was a little bit like I don't think she always knew where her kick was gonna go. But yeah, like noted. I can definitely that would help me see this better as well.
Yeah, because I also think it's just like when you're looking at the kicker and you're like, okay, kick, I want to be as fast as I can, right? But then I don't want to be hit by the ball. So you're kind of like waiting. And then in that moment where you're like, I have to sprint, you also have to like whip your head around and be like, are those people in front of the kicker? Like, what's going on this way? So it's like a lot more than if and sometimes you don't always get to be on the right side, but yeah, you're on the far side and you're like, I can watch this way. The whole time I'm watching where you're kicking, not afraid I'm not going to get hit, and I can see who's possibly in front of the kicker. So it's just like less things in your head, and you can more focus on the sprint, and you're not held back. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And that run early because you could get hit by the ball. Never happened to me. So
It's happened to me.
All right.
So
did
for
it
this
also
one,
happen to you after you awarded a drop goal that wasn't over?
so for this one, it's gonna be like the classic debate on the tackle. But for me, in this moment, this isn't a broadcast. So of course on the screen they're gonna show a replay and a slow-mo. For me, I get one sighting on this. It's about a millisecond. I always know it's upright. The gold ball carrier kind of moves beyond the black tackler a little bit. So I don't see heads come together and bounce. And I'm not 100% certain on head contact. So you'll just see what kind of happens after. And I have this inner debate of can I use the forensics of this to elevate this, or should I just go with what I know here?
Time's off. We have blood here. We have blood here. Yep.
Richard, if you keep playing the clip, they'll show their own replay too, if you want. And
I think
they'll
it
like
stopped.
zoom in on it. Oh, did it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to get better about these clips. I apologize. Either way, so I'm going through this inner debate like, all right, I know this. I don't look exactly at her face because she's down at the ground and I don't like blood, but I'm like, did she hit her nose on the shoulder? Was this face-to-face contact? Should I give this a yellow and just assume that because I have all this blood, it's head-to-head? Or should I go with the fact that I know it was upright, but I'm not 100% on head contact? That's kind of where I was getting at with showing this.
So what did you give live?
I gave a penalty, and then I went over to the captain and gave a warning because it was the second high tackle at this point in the game by Black.
So, sorry, I just want to walk through it with you. You didn't clearly see head-on-head live, but you saw the upright, you saw the big collision.
Yes.
And you saw both players, you had all the cues.
Yes.
Which is
the only cue I didn't have, if you watch the tackle, this gold ball carrier, her head just keeps going beyond, if you watch it, the contact. So for me, do you see how she kind of continues beyond? So I was like, all right, I'm not seeing a head snap back, and I'm on the inside of the ball carrier. So I'm like, it's probably head contact. This tackler's bleeding from the head. But if you play through this, she goes beyond and her head doesn't like snap back or anything. And I'm on the inside of this, not the side of the camera. So I just really wasn't sure. And again, like I only get this one, I don't get all these replays. But in my head, I'm like, can I use this as enough evidence that I should assume this is head contact and give a yellow?
I think of regardless where we go as a group and like what we discuss, like I just want to applaud your process because you did absolutely everything right. And like for referees, that's all we ask. And review is the time you get to debate it, right? But it's like you had the big upright person coming in, you had the big collision, you stopped it immediately, you took time off, you gave yourself time to use all of the cues that you had to make a decision. So whatever the decision is that we find on review, like I think just like A+ for the process and the work on the field. And I think like that as refereeing is kind of the art, you want to get that process right and decisions we talk about. So that's just something I wanted to say to you because it's, man, like that looks like A+ work right there.
Thank you.
Because if you gave a yellow card and you're not 100% sure, you're sort of guessing, right? So
yeah, it's an interesting, NIRA has been interesting this season with upright tackles. So it's been sort of navigating. Okay, so then there's two more, but I didn't know how much time we'd have and I don't want to run over. So this one was an interesting clip. Richard, do you want to play it and then we can talk about the slight debate happening?
I need to see a pull. Leave it, Gold. That's fine. That player's onside. 10 is onside.
So if you notice, I wait a few seconds to blow this. Because what I'd really like is I want you to pull the ball away so we can have a turnover and play on. And she didn't. But interestingly enough, when Bob and I were reviewing this, if you want to look at it again, he's like, well, let's look at the ball carrier. That's a nice, tight 2-arm hug on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, the law is about the ball carrier releasing. There's no law about the stealer pulling. So it was just an interesting viewpoint to give on it because I really wasn't actually looking at the ball carrier. I was looking to see what the stealer would do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of being in the maybe a little bit more 45, a little bit deeper. You would have called it quicker. That's about it.
I was also trying really hard not to call penalties against Princeton at this point.
Nice job preventing the need for a not 10 penalty. I mean, for real. I mean, I don't see enough of that. You got the players who hadn't retreated yet to just leave the ball carrier alone after the quick tap. Nice.
Thank you.
Well, she took care of that early when she gave a yellow card for that.
I did, right on the goal line. But I tried verbally managing that one too.
Yeah.
So
done.
Go ahead if you want, Richard, and then I'll.
That's fine. That player's onside. 10 is onside.
So if you watch this number 6 Black knocks this ball on. And I'm trying really hard this season. One of my things is I was like, I kind of compared this to, I started with advantage as like a butcher knife. And now I've gotten it to a box cutter, but I want to get it to a scalpel where I really intentionally use it and I understand the purpose of it. And in this game, Princeton really couldn't gain ground on anything. So I'm looking at this and they're on their 10. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to give a scrum advantage because it probably won't go anywhere. And I blow it. And I had a little bit of regret because it looked like it could have potentially been a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
But it was tough just based on what had occurred so far in the game.
Yeah, I also think, and I think we talked about this previously, is that sometimes when you see an infringement, you can put your arm out, and you have to say advantage. You can just put your arm out for that 1 second or 2 seconds, and blow your whistle and just say it's a knock on, it's a scrum, But putting your arm out doesn't always mean you're playing advantage. It just always also means you saw the infringement, right?
I actually asked Bob about that. I was like, does this mean I'm calling advantage if
I said the same thing. Quote, word for word.
Okay, I'll stop speaking. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
Unlike penalty advantages, where when you're all the way back near your goal, there's no use for them. Almost all teams want an opportunity to get a clearing kickoff, then have a scrum with their back to their own goal line. So you play a scrum advantage almost into a team's in goal because they'd rather kick out than scrum with their backs there. In general.
Laws,
I don't know if I agree with you, Tig. I'm not sure if it's worth taking up more time, but they really had trouble. This team was challenged to set up phases and get a clean pass off for a clearance kick.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that when you have a one-sided team who dominates every phase of play, right? Is giving them an advantage, for something, or that that they've never been able to gain the entire match. What is the advantage for this team? What do you give? And it's something. So yeah, I mean,
it's just about finding that balance, right, Bob?
yes.
And I'm sure you and I've talked about this a million times. It's like the fact that you put your arm out, you're not playing advantage, and you're also not, trying to force advantage. You've seen it, your arms out, you give it 1 or 2 seconds, you blow your whistle, and you say it's a scrum. And you can sometimes do that with penalties too. What you don't want to do if a team is under pressure a lot in the game is try and force advantage and make them try and do something that they're not able to do. That's when it just has even a bigger negative effect, when you're playing under pressure, those situations.
Yep, agreed.
I just want to answer Tara. Is it Tara? I'm sorry.
Morgan.
Her question in the
No,
chat.
it is Tara. Thank you.
Tara, I was like, sorry, fuck, my bad. And now I cursed. Of the arm out, it does mean advantage in a way of like you are going to play advantage, so you can't just like put your arm out and then like put it back in and be like, no, I didn't see anything. I wasn't playing advantage, right?
Oh,
it's not that.
Yeah.
It's more of you put it out doesn't mean boom, clock starts, advantage has started. It's more of a like, yeah, we're gonna just call the scrum, and I had just preemptively put my arm out for this scrum ahead of time. So it's not the reactionary, like the second your arm goes out, your mouth says advantage. It's more of the intention to begin possibly playing advantage or just calling it. So I just
that makes sense to me now. I think I'm remembering that the nice thing about it is that you don't have to code it as having played advantage and then not gaining advantage if you just put the arm out but don't say it.
Exactly. It all comes back to how we code it in the system and get the maximum advantage gained.
Agree.
Great. Those
Hi,
are the
guys.
tips.
This
Cheers.
is Sybil. I just want to build upon that. This breaking the advantage process down into like 3 pieces. And for me, it has felt like embodying that in muscle memory where I see it, my arm is up, and then I am deciding, is advantage on or should I just, this is not going anywhere. And it happens in sort of 1 second, 2 second, 3-ish. And Yeah, it feels like muscle memory. Morgan, also to your conundrum of like, well, they're right here in this defensive area. They've not been able to manifest advantage. If their scrums were their scrums good that day? And did that play into your decision to like use that as the most advantageous solution here?
So actually, I think that they weren't outrageously bad given the disparity. I kind of like pinged Brown really fast in the second half, like no, no, and then I was, setting some standards, and I didn't look at the stats, but I think Princeton got most of their ball out of scrums. So now we'll go look at the stats.
Yeah. That's true. Any last thoughts, Morgan and Bob?
No, it's everything.
Morgan, all good.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thanks. Stephen put in 2 clips here. We've got 8 minutes, so we can go look at them quickly. Stephen, are you on the call? Yeah.
I'm here.
Hi.
So thank you. I'll set this up for everyone. So at this point, we're late in the match. It's gotten pretty one-sided in the second half where White's been pretty dominant. The first half, Black had 2 upright tackles. When Austin and I reviewed it, we both agreed penalty only. About 15 minutes earlier in the second half, I had a 3rd upright tackle. So I did the hard warning, stop the clock, brought the captain over. It's 3, let's stop it. 15 minutes later, you can play the clip and this happens. So clearly, normal circumstances, I got a shoulder charge, no wrap, late, not the hardest hit in the world. But I'm like, I just laid out my standard 15 minutes ago. Am I going to sit there and let them start to take extra pops? So that was kind of the discussion was like, because I yellow carded this under repeat infringements for foul play. Are we happy with that? Is there a better way out of this?
What did you and Austin decide?
So, Austin, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'll let you speak for yourself.
My advice was basically, this doesn't feel like a yellow card. Like even for repeat infringement, the contact is pretty glancing. It doesn't feel like a good statement penalty, really, even with everything. So one option that we discussed it was essentially the everything but yellow card, which is the penalty and the admonishing the guilty player, to really outline like, look, I know we've already talked about this. You've had 15 minutes of good play, and now we're back where we were. So you can kind of give them a bit of a reprieve of having sort of improved for a time and then sort of gotten worse again. So sort of re-warning with the admonition as well.
And my kind of feeling in the moment was like, and good advice from Kat that I can put my hands on and possibly ruin is like, my vibe was like, I just gave a warning relatively short time ago. And I'm really concerned. Like sometimes in the past, I think I made the mistake of like too many warnings. So like maybe this was an overcorrection. Like, because I looked at the video, I'm like, oh, for the love of Pete, I gave a yellow card for that. It's like almost bumping someone on the street as you walk past them.
It's also
15 minutes is a fair amount of time between a warning, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to show the next clip, which is 5 minutes later?
Yeah, sure.
So just one thing, like, and I'm sure we've all watched games like this. You're watching a game, say you're watching it live or you're watching a game, and the referee warns them, and you almost get the feeling that the referee is now just waiting for the next infringement, right? And we've all seen that in those games, and it's just a matter of like, even if you give a warning, it's to still sort of be not completely connected to that to those moments, right? So you're there facilitating, and they're there playing the game. And even though you're giving them the warning, it's still you're the person who's sort of orchestrating this environment. So I mean, it's, to think about that, and it's not always that easy because, like, you know, how many calls have we been on where we've said like, well, you know, you've warned them, you said you're going to escalate, you got to back yourself, right? So here we are, having a conversation about the opposite. It's not always that easy. Not.
And Scott, that's a really interesting thing. Like it was like 15 minutes. To me, it didn't feel like that.
Sorry.
And this is 5 minutes later. What's happening? Yeah, this clip. Yeah. And deja vu all over again. Long story short, I yellow carded that too. And looking back on it, I think I would have been more comfortable not carding the first and saying, okay, now within 5 minutes, we've got another player taking a shot late. We've had two conversations. Like would that have been the right call? Like, so that's why I wanted to discuss it. Because the yellow card didn't have the effect I was hoping for.
Yeah, I think your like second scenario makes more sense, right? So it'll feel like, at the previous one, if you'd blown the P out of the whistle, which you did, and said, hey, you know, you could have showed a little bit of empathy and went like, that was just again unnecessary. Um, and they have to improve their technique, really. That's what they have to do, right? I mean, like it's probably just poor technique rather than deliberately trying to take people out all the time. So, but I mean, yeah. So this last one would have made more sense as the yellow card. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing we talked about was if you did give the first one, maybe you give a warning again after this one instead of pulling the trigger on a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. That's also an option. Yeah. So I just wanted to cover a couple of things. We only got a minute. We got to go. Is that in the email? I'm just going to send out that. I just want to let everybody know. Reach out to your coaches because they're there to work with you. You should reach out to them before the game, so that you know what you're working on. And then, the videos are due on Mondays at noon. They should be available to you. And if they're not, you have to reach out to the coach. And if let your ref coach know, not the team coach, let your ref coach know if the video is in or it's late or when you're going to code it. Let me know if if you're on the assignments to present. But just sort of keep everybody in the loop so we know, because I see a lot of games up there and they haven't been coded and they're supposed to be done by the end of today. That's part of being part of this competition. So I just wanted to get that across. And then what I'll do is I'll send out a separate email just to help everybody, like those people that are putting in so much work by putting their audio on, how we can still keep the quality of the video, because we've got a lot of good quality video. And then when people put their audio on, we lose that quality. So it's something we'll work on. But and then the other thing regarding travel with NIRA, there's a flat match fee of 200. Travel is a flat $50 fee. So you don't have to put in any travel because all the games are signed mostly locally. So we have some questions about that. But I'll send all this out, and then regarding recording the videos and adding your audio, we will send you some information from those who do it really well. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night.